DCD stands for Data Center Dynamics. We are a company that specializes in providing information and networking opportunities to the global data center sector. And people ask, what's that? What's the data center sector? Well, these are huge buildings that are filled with computers that, to all intents and purposes, run our world. Your telephones, the internet that you view, YouTube, Google, power systems, nuclear systems. These data centers are responsible for the transfer of all of this data around the world and the processing of it. So today, you can imagine it's really big business. Now, a friend did a back of a cigarette packet calculation recently that puts this into context. One of the problems of data centers is power. They're power hungry. Yeah? So moving data around at the speed of light consumes energy. Now, we're about to hit a huge, what we're calling data deluge. When we start seeing virtual reality, moving on just from simple gaming, we start looking at what's happening in the healthcare sector, where we're decoding the DNA and we're starting to use that. We start going to the world of very big data. Now, we calculate, or the number that you give data usually comes, you'll know, a megabyte, a gigabyte, goes up to a terabyte, a petabyte, and it carries on going. And at the moment, we're approaching the zettabyte era. Now, a zettabyte, if we were to understand it, it's such a big number, but 1 zettabyte is, on another cigarette packet calculation, all the words that have ever been spoken by humanity everywhere since we had speech, not written down, but actually as a sound file. That's what a zettabyte is. And it's been said that by 2020 there will be 50 zettabytes of information on 29 billion devices. That's every smartphone, washing machine, not just servers. It's just a colossal amount of data that's going to be out there, and a lot of this lives in the data center. Now, the amount of data that there's going to be by 2030, this is my original cigarette packet calculation of my friend, to process that data that's available, that will be made in 2030, using today's technology, which you see down here, how data centers are built with all these building blocks, to process that data would consume all of the energy in the world. Now, that's impossible. We know that because we need energy for transport systems and hospitals and our cars and what have you. So that's impossible. So what has to happen is lots of innovation. And innovation IT is everywhere. Yeah? They do more and more and more with less and less energy. But they're chasing against this exponential curve of how much data is being produced. So in this room at DCD, all the people come that are working on this challenge. So this New York event is characterized by the enterprise community. To you and I, that's banks and pharmaceutical companies. And here in New York, we've got lots of them headquartered, so very powerful organizations that build lots of data centers. And that gives a characteristic to this event here. Now, this is one event of a series of 22 events that we hold around the world. In the US, we've got events here in New York. We've got events in San Jose. That's an event called DCD Web Scale. And that event, instead of for the enterprise communities, the banks, that's for the internet community. So that's where the Facebooks, the LinkedIns, the Googles, and all the other up-and-coming companies, they come to discuss their infrastructure. And they've got a very different type of infrastructure. So they build things very differently. Around the rest of the world, we've got vibrant communities that we provide events for all across Latin America, in Asia, have big events in Singapore, in China. At the end of next month, we're in Shanghai. We have events in the Middle East. But our biggest event annually is in London. That's where DatacenterDynamics headquarters is. And this year, that event is going to be at Billingsgate Market on the banks of the River Thames, an amazing old building, and we're really looking forward to that event. On top of events, we don't just bring people together, we have a magazine that is published and mailed out around the world that talks about how people are building these data centers, running them and operating them. We also have a training organisation, so we train people to operate and design data centers around the world, thousands of them. We've had about 10,000 people in classroom activities. We also do data center certification. So we work closely with a number of government organisations, and we developed a certification called CEDA that is based around certifying how energy efficient a data center is. So remember earlier I said data center efficiency is very important. Well, that's where our certification comes in. So we've got many tentacles around this industry, which makes us quite a unique company, because we're very, very what we call vertically focused into an industry sector, and by luck that industry sector is growing and growing and growing. So we're always learning or having to learn new ways to provide this industry with really cool, interesting new information, knowledge opportunities to help them thrive and progress.